Hey guys, welcome back to my next book preview video. This week we've got another Japanese pose book. Again, one that I cannot translate to tell you the exact name. So take a quick look at the front and back with and without the cover on, or the sleeve on. So it's just the same below. It's a soft cover, black and white below. Okay, so here's the contents. Again, I can't really translate it. Weirdly, it does say lesson in English, but for some reason it doesn't actually translate what the lesson is. So as usual, I have just propped something up against this book or underneath it at the back, just so that the lighting isn't reflecting quite as much. So the translation of the title, or at least according to eBay if you look for this listing, is How to Draw Manga, Guns and Knife Poses, or something very similar, something along those lines. And I will say, just from glancing through it, it does have a lot of gun reference. So a lot of the other pose books, obviously they're full of poses like this one, but this one seems much more heavily concentrated on the guns. So, you know, we've got different angles and perspective here and on the next page, for example, of the pistol. It's actually pretty efficient. It's pretty good if you are drawing these specific weapons. So I think that does have a lot of use. I wasn't actually expecting it to concentrate quite as much on the weapons themselves, but it does get into poses soon. And it's worth noting there is no nudity or anything like that in this book. It's always worth mentioning because if any of you guys have had any Japanese pose books before, you will know that they usually have a lot of nudity. This one does not have any that I have noticed. So it does cover things like swords as well, which personally I much prefer drawing things like swords, but I find weapons like guns very difficult and not as interesting. But it's very helpful to learn how to draw guns as well. There is actually a lot of poses, there's a lot of information, you know, like reloading the weapons, but they're quite small images, or you might notice they actually cut off halfway. In some cases, that's still absolutely fine, it's still usable, there's still value in it, but compared to maybe this pose as just a full page pose, they're not quite as efficient. But despite from me saying these poses are quite small, some of them are actually pretty cool, especially if you're into, I guess, the costumes. I did notice throughout that this lady here seems to be dressed almost in like a Resident Evil style costume, or at least it looks similar to me. I don't know if that's just coincidence. And the reason I found this specific book, and I say that because there are so many pose books now, is because there's not as many weapon ones, and I've always wanted one like that because that's the kind of thing I want to draw. But also, one of my favourite artists, known as Rake, posted a video many years ago. I don't know if it was a live stream on his YouTube channel. You can probably still find it, of him drawing some really awesome poses. And this is the book he was actually using for reference. And he did such an amazing job. Don't get me wrong, he's an incredible artist, so of course he's going to do a good job. But it kind of stood out to me that these books do have some value, because I always wondered it. If you guys have been watching my recent videos, you know that it's something I mention a lot. I've started trying to review some of them that I've got hold of recently. So, for example, I got this one. I will put a link to this one in the description box below the video, so check that out if you want to see more pose books. I did buy a couple more than that as well, but as mentioned earlier on, there's a lot of nudity in some of them, so they're not usually suitable for YouTube. You can see again a lot of information regarding the weapons, or at least, you know, visual information. Again, I can't read the actual text. But I do like these. I think they're really good. The quality of the print is okay. It's good enough for poses. And that was my inspiration for buying this. And what I mean by that is you're not going to learn any like detailed anatomy from these, but that's not their intention. It's more for gesture work, getting the feel of the pose. And I don't think that books like these compare to, you know, photo reference that you can find online. If you've ever been on ArtStation, there's packs that are really cheap, super high quality, really good poses. They are absolutely amazing. So you might be saying, well, why would I be buying a book that's lower quality? For me, I quite like having a physical copy of something like this, especially when it comes to reference. Not only because I like collecting and owning books, but also I get too much screen time and it kind of gives me a headache and hurts my eyes and stuff like that. So sometimes it's nice to be able to step away from a computer, and, you know, drawing from reference is a little bit more difficult when you don't have a computer there. So that's where I see the value in these books. And you can see that we are getting through more and more weapons, still on guns though. I'm pretty sure there is a blade section towards the back. but I would say it's definitely focusing more on guns than knives or blades. Now, the reason I wanted to show this off on camera is that I've always been intrigued by these books. Always wanted to order some, but being that they are Japanese pose books, they're not always easily available here in the UK, or at least not without spending quite a bit on delivery. Looks like we're up to the blades section now. And it's not that I ever minded paying for delivery, but I couldn't find any previews or anything of these books. So I always kind of hoped that someone would make YouTube videos of them, which would have helped me out a lot. So I finally committed to buying some of them, and I'm hoping that by making these YouTube videos, it will help some of you guys in the process, decide on whether you want them, decide whether you think they're valuable or not. I will put links to where I got this one from in the description box below. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. You guys can probably make your own mind up from the preview here. There are a lot of variations of these, so let me know which ones you guys have or which ones you guys want to see more of in the future. But that's it, guys, so thank you for watching.